We're going to look back at 2021, what an awesome year, and pull out some of the highlights, some of our experiences from this year. The best way to create your future intelligently and efficiently is to start with an assessment of the past, right?
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franzen.
Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen Franzen.
And we are really excited about this opportunity to share with you at this time of the year. We love the end of the year energy. And if you are a regular listener to our Remarkable CEO Podcast and you're catching us right here at the end of the year, this is the what I think is the final show of 2021, whether you're listening to this in 21 or some other time. I'll tell you right now, we are going to reflect today on the year. We've just completed an incredible series on the last to now to next. If you haven't listened to those and you're listening to this right now and it's coming to the end of the year and you haven't listened to those, please go back, listen to those episodes, get that tool, do those exercises, do that work. It's so powerful. We've been doing it with our CEOs. We've been doing it with all of our coaching clients across the board. It's been an incredibly impactful discipline and exercise to do. So please do that. Also, Dr. Stephen, just want to recognize you for who you are as a thought leader in our remarkable CEO and remarkable practice movement and the movement of chiropractic. What a remarkable year we've had truly in 2021. I mean, we're going to reflect a little bit today, but it's just been an awesome year, and it's been just incredible to work with you, to work alongside of you, to continue to see your leadership, continue to see your influence grow, and continue to see bigger impact happening, across so many different platforms and verticals, even within our space of chiropractic and beyond, because we know that chiropractic has an influence in our profession, but man, we influence all these other professions because of the work that we do, which is so incredible. So I just want to recognize you and thank you. And then all of you are amazing listeners. Thank you for being a part of this show. Actually, it's because of you that we show up every week to do this show. And we're thinking about you every single time we do a podcast episode. So thank you for tuning in. And we hope that you will continue to do that. We're excited. We have big plans for 2022. We have big plans ahead to continue to grow and help you and serve you and help you become a more remarkable CEO, which is really the ultimate theme of this podcast. And that's our heart to help you do that. So just want to recognize all of you and for an amazing year, Dr. Steve. I'm really looking forward to digging in and doing our reflection for 2021 on our episode today.
Yeah, Dr. Pete, this is one of those right back at you moments, right? So we teach the 4 rights, right? Having the right person in the right role, doing the right work the right way. And man, that first quadrant is the hardest one to get out of, right? So having an A player that shares your core values and just buys into the vision story, man. You are all of the above, buddy. I so appreciate you. And you are the definitive A player. You and we're brothers from another mother. We absolutely share core values and we buy into the same awesome vision story for the world, for chiropractic, for our awesome profession, for our businesses, for our lives, etc. Right? So I love that. I love working. I love coming alongside you, man. You live out our core values every moment, every day, man. When I look at you as servant-hearted, mission-driven, man, and you are absolutely and truly remarkable. So what an awesome partnership this is. So I appreciate you, buddy. And what an extraordinary blessing that we got to start a podcast and host it all the way through the craziness, right? We got a great, strong start in 2019 when everything was hunky-dory, blue skies, birds chirping, sunshine, right? And then we get hit by the meteor known as the coronavirus, right? So COVID hit, and we got to navigate this incredible historic season through 2020, through 2021. As podcast hosts, right? So talk about it's the gift that just keeps on giving, bro. I'm kind of full of myself. I've had enough, thanks, but man, it's just been a pleasure.
Yeah, it is. And, even you saying that just made me think actually, you're exactly right. We started the podcast and then we entered in 2019 and we came into 2020, and it's been basically 2 years of us doing podcast episodes, teaching and sharing and collaborating about being a remarkable CEO in the midst of the most unprecedented time in our history. since obviously we've all been alive, but in history, probably since the beginning of time, there hasn't been a 2-year process like this in this capacity where the whole globe is involved like this. So we are in it, and we know that so many of you are in the battle, in the fight every single day. We know that we are with you. We know that all of you are doing that to this day. So we just want to honor you for who you are. Thank you for journeying with us. And we also, I just want to ask, if this is, we ask you to share this with your brothers and sisters in our profession, because, what we get is we get the feedback, we get that from you guys, and it's such an encouragement to us. And we want to help reach more people, with this message, our brothers and sisters that we are in arms with. The one, and this is going to be one of my takeaways, Dr. Stephen. We're going to go over our takeaways from this year, the big three, but one of mine is, I'll just give you a little insight before we get into it, but it's this idea of that we're better together. And that we're going farther together. So it's all about us being together and united more and more. So these are just ways for us all to come together around something that we can all agree upon, agreement, the power of agreement. And this, I believe this show is something that we can all agree to, which is what I love to. So if you could continue to help us reach more people, share this, just ping a friend, drop it in their text thread, and just say, hey, listen to one of these episodes. That's just awesome for us, because our mission, again, and our heart behind all of this is just to help more chiropractors, help more people, that they can have a more remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life and not instead of one. And we restore more health for more people globally. So that is what it's all about. And if anything, 2020 and 2021 has taught us, it's how important that is.
Yeah, I think the referral to this podcast is the ultimate stocking stuffer this year, right? So, I'm biased, but there's so many chiros out there right now that absolutely need to feel like they're not alone in this, right? They need support, they need community, and they need directives, right? So they need encouragement, they need support, and that's what we're here for. So in the spirit of that, today we're gonna look back at 2021. What an awesome year, and pull out some of the highlights, some of our experiences from this year, and we. In the Remarkable CEO program, we teach this manifestation process that we call the appear process, right? So we don't just, sit back and hope and pray that, oh man, I hope that I get what I want. No, we take action, right? So, I believe that God gives us a piano, but he expects us to learn how to read music and start banging on keys, right? So we want to be able to get to work as CEOs. So that's where we came up with the appear process, which is the assess, plan, prepare, execute, assess, repeat acronym for appear, right? So make your future appear. And the best way to predict your future is to create it, right? The best way to create your future intelligently and efficiently is to start with an assessment of the past, right? The best predictor of tomorrow's weather is yesterday's weather. We've got to learn to look back and learn from the year and say, man, where were the wins? Where were the learns? We went through that exercise here together, just really formally with the last to now exercise. But today we just want to have a conversation about, like, we challenge each other. What were your top 3 takeaways from the year? We do this every year. This will be the 3rd time we've had this type of conversation. Let's reflect. What were the big points of the takeaways, the high points from the year? Dr. Pete, I'll go first on this. It was fun because he and I both showed up with 3 bullets, of course. And the alignment was just amazing, just incredible, not surprising, just amazing. So my first observation was just going all the way back to really 2020 and looking back at the end of 2020, doing the future casting and vision casting into 2021. I remember the feeling, honestly, the feeling was a feeling of unrest, not uncertainty, but just like, ooh, we decided that the theme for 2021 was going to be agility, right? So it was like, we needed to be agile, right? We needed to be an agile business that would show up with just recognizing that we needed a plan, right? So we needed contingency plans, right? Because we had no idea what 2021 was going to bring us. There was global uncertainty as to what was going on and what were the changes that we were going to see. We weren't certain what they were, but we were certain that there would be changes. It wouldn't be what we thought it was going to be, right? So I don't know about you, Pete, but I spent most of 2021 kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. That was kind of the feeling that I had. It's like, all right, what's he got up his sleeve now, right? So what is the future hold? What is the winter going to bring, so to speak, right? So, we went into this with the spirit of agility. And for many people, it felt like wandering into the wilderness, right? So 2021 was the wilderness, and we were starting off a year in this place where it's like, oh, I'm wandering into the unknown, right? So, and some people were like throwing up their hands, being like, why bother making a plan, right? So because I don't know what's going to happen. And, our direction for them, our advice to them is the worst thing you could do wandering into the wilderness is go without a plan, right? So what our encouragement was get in there with a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan E if you need one, right? So to having those contingency plans, man, I think that was an unbelievably predictive, if you could say, we prophesized that as like, that's exactly what 21 called for, is to be the leader that showed up with a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And more importantly, I think, is just speaking that into the culture of your business and just telling your team, listen, 2020 was a shocker. We just were reacting to something we didn't see coming. 2021, we just didn't have the luxury of being quote unquote surprised. We anticipated an awesome year ahead, fully expectant of an awesome year ahead, but it certainly wasn't going to look like we think it's going to look. So let's go in there ready to be agile.
Okay, let's take a quick break and talk about Chiro Matchmakers.
Chiro Matchmakers will help you find the right person for the job. If you're looking to hire the ideal chiropractic assistant, Chiro Matchmakers will help you find the specific person missing from your team so that you can get back to using your talents to serve more people. Or if you're looking to hire the ideal associate doctor, CMM can help. Chiro Matchmakers helps chiropractors like you find the ideal associate doctor to unlock your practice potential and get you the freedom that you desire. To learn more, go to chiromatchmakers.com.
And now let's jump right back into our conversation. So good. As we were, preparing for this podcast episode today, and reflecting on the year and thinking about how we were. And this is interesting because we did this at the end of 2020. I remember when we did this and going into 2021 and thinking, okay, if 2020 was the pivot, the year of the pivot, 2020 was the year of the pivot, 2021, what is that? It's the year for agility. And it absolutely has been that. And the first, my first big takeaway from this year was the word strength. That's my first of the three. And it's so aligned with this because sometimes when you think of agility, okay, so I don't know what you guys think of when you think of agility, but you think like your ability to move, to adapt, flexibility sometimes. And we walked through the agile acronym, which was so powerful. But strength is actually at the core of all of that. Your ability to be agile, if you think about it, is all about core stability. It's core strength that enables any athlete, any person to be agile. If you think about it from a human performance, physiological perspective,
that's good.
It's actually a core strength and core stability that actually enables people to be agile. And those who lack agility, usually they lack some core stability. And as chiropractors, we can find it in a second because we look at the spine like, oh, you've got a curvature here, you've lost a curve here, you've got this going on, pelvis all over the place, degeneration here. We see it, and so this is so powerful. So for me, one of my first takeaway was strength, and so a couple thoughts on this. Number one is the purpose of testing. I have a bunch of kids. You do too, actually. We all do. Many of you are listening. And the kids get testing, right? In school, I'm always studying. It seems like every night I'm actually studying for a test with 5 people going to school and taking tests. It's like I'm basically every night testing somebody on something, okay? So it's like, what's the purpose of testing? What's the purpose of studying for the test? The testing is to produce a product, right? And the outcome. And the purpose of testing is to produce strength. And that's the first thing I want to say is if you feel like, man, it's just been testing. I feel like it's been one test, I passed it, and then it's been another test and another test. Guess what? Welcome. Testing produces strength, and you're getting stronger through the testing. That's actually the purpose of the test, is to make it stronger. So here's my encouragement to you, and this is my takeaway, is don't despise the test, embrace it. Don't despise it, embrace the testing, because it's making you stronger. And if you look back, as I look back on the last 12 months, I can tell you, if you have embraced the testing, which I know that you have, because you're still here and you're actually tuning in and listening to this episode, that you are stronger as a result of it. So I would love for you to reflect on, where did you grow stronger in this year? As you reflect on your strength increasing in this year where you have been exercising agility, where specifically have you increased in your strength? I would love for you to do that for yourself, a little self-reflection on that. And the reality is that, you know, we have walked through that in a powerful way. So that was my first, Dr. Stephen. The second, and I'll start with number 2 here. My second big takeaway from 2021 was unity. That was the second thing I wrote down was unity, and a couple of thoughts on unity. So I believe that unity, to be as one, to be united, is the greatest challenge and opportunity and threat, all of it at once. The word unity is such a profound word. And I even think, like, being in North America, and one of the things that we talk about in unity all the time in our country, it's part of our foundation of our nation, is unity. This idea of being united states, unity is so powerful. And I've seen that in this past year in chiropractic, more unity happening. And a couple of things that, I wrote down, some of the things that I'm thinking about right now is that, number one is, it's been proven this year in 2021 to me that we are better together, chiropractors, that when we embrace our uniqueness, it's actually our uniqueness and diversity that actually creates our is what unites us. Think about this. It's our uniqueness that unites us. Think about that. That if we can learn to embrace the uniqueness of other people, the slight differences, of how they maybe practice or whatever, if you can learn to embrace, it's actually in our unity that we actually, and embracing the uniqueness, that we can actually become even more united. It's actually embracing that. I've seen that with groups and organizations and movements coming together in a coalition. I've seen that happening in this year. So this unity, that we are better together. And then the second was that together we will go farther. I think if you're like us, we want to help more people. We want to reach the world with more to chiropractic, to reach the world and serve and help and transform the lives of more people. This is what we want. We want to restore health worldwide. This is our desire. Well, guess what? Together, we will get there. We will go farther together. That's how it's going to happen. And so, Dr. Stephen, those are the 2 big things for me with unity. I just want to say, and I'm going to throw it back to you, but that was my second big takeaway this year. Yeah.
I'm with you, man. And here's a point I don't want people to miss. The reason that this is notable and why it's a big takeaway from 2021 is it's literally the opposite of what the world is experiencing right now with all the division that's happening everywhere. Like, so if you look at how divisive this, let's call it the COVID catastrophe, has been, like, from a, let's just call it what it is, like, from a political perspective, from a social and ideological perspective, like, we see this manifesting as division around the world, right? So it's been incredibly divisive. And in the face of that, chiropractic has been united, right? So I think that's really, I think that's spectacular, right? I think it's notable to point out right now that this has actually brought us together stronger as a profession. And this manifested in what I saw in the response to the Chiropractic Defence Council, right? So when we released the CDC, the Chiropractic Defence Council was not released because of COVID, right? So the Chiropractic Defence Council was a brainchild that's been 7 years in the making, and it has evolved over the last few years and finally took shape in 2020, knowing that we were going to be facing adversity, knowing that there were threats coming down the pike, no question about it. It's not like we were like, wow, good thing we put this together because we didn't see that coming. We did see it coming, so it accelerated the formation of the Chiropractic Defence Council, which exists for one purpose: to protect the rights of the practicing chiropractor, period. It's not a anti-vaccine mandate organization. It's not an anti-vax mandate. It's none of that, right? It happens to be an organization that exists for one purpose, and that is to protect the rights of the practicing chiropractor, period, hard stop. Anything that threatens the rights of the practicing chiropractor, whether that's you can't take x-rays, or you need a diagnosis from a medical doctor to take an x-ray, or you can't adjust kids, or you can't touch babies, or what have you. It's like all over the world, there's adversity. And this council was put together to protect the rights of the practice in chiropractic. It just so happens the biggest threat to the rights of the practice in chiropractor right now, the fight we're in of these vaccine mandates. So it was incredible timing. God is good, right? And chiropractic, we respond beautifully to a crisis, right? So let's face it, let's call it what it is. We responded beautifully to a crisis. And just to see the unity, global unity, it's amazing. There's thousands of chiropractors now supporting the Chiropractic Defense Council, which is, it's amazing when the hotel's on fire, and you're sleeping on the top floors, it gets your attention, right? So, it's been amazing to see everybody respond to it. But even those that are not feeling the heat yet, right? So granted, there are some countries where this is fully on fire. Our brothers and sisters in Canada, in Australia, we are thinking of you. We're talking about you right now, just so you know, we've got you. Where everybody is thinking about you, supporting you, praying for you, acting on your behalf, etc. The Chiropractic Defense Council has taken action, and it's amazing how it's been embraced. So, Dr. Pete, one of my big takeaways is I am so encouraged to see that the Chiropractic Defense Council will probably be one of the biggest organizations in chiropractic by the end of this year, and will probably be the biggest organization in chiropractic next year. So I just want to recognize Baron Hoig for the great work that he's done, the rest of the council, the board, etc. It's been amazing. So one of my big takeaways for 2021 is, people, when the story is strong enough, people will take action, they'll move. And it's been great to see chiropractic come together as opposed to succumb to the divisive elements or the divisive topics of subject matter that has really broken people apart.
100%. And I'll tell you, it's been really amazing to be able to see how quickly that has happened. How quickly that you have responded. Our profession has responded in the midst of all this. It was really has been remarkable to see the responsiveness and the speed of responsiveness. And that has been, just again, outstanding to see. And the work that has been done is being done and will continue to be done is just incredible.
Awesome. Awesome.
Just echoing that is 100%. So,
yeah.
So number 3, big takeaway for me for this past year. And, we encourage you, if you haven't done some of these things yourself already, is to actually do this. This type of reflection is just so powerful. So my third is the third kind of word that I wrote down was wisdom. Wisdom. And, wisdom actually comes from experience. Okay. So you have, if you have a knowledge of something, knowledge is different than understanding. Okay. So knowledge is, you can have knowledge because you read about something. You have understanding because you walked through it, because you experienced something. You have a deeper level of understanding. You have an ability to articulate it, to communicate it, for example, and then it goes into a deeper level. So, but the word that really came from this year, my third is wisdom. And what wisdom is it's a profound understanding. It's a deeper level of understanding that happens with experience and usually comes with trial, right? It usually comes with walking through difficulty and struggle and the challenge. And wisdom is something that is very expensive, and you don't just get it. It's costly. And so the third word really that came to me in theme from this past year is wisdom. And I think it's because of the fact that you have stayed in the game. You have kept just walking, putting one foot in front of the other, day after day, week after week, month after month, making the pivots, working on the agility skills of being agile with the turnover in the team and the changing of the team and the mandates and the ups and the downs and the twists and turns in your marketing calendar and the changes and the pivots and the adapting and, the process of walking with all the patients and the communications that have to go out and the questions that have to be answered and all of the things. All of those tests, all of that challenge, all that struggle has developed in you a character and a capacity and a wisdom to be able to truly lead in this next generation, this next chapter, this next decade, this next era of chiropractic. And we need more leadership in chiropractic, more of us we really need to embrace that this is what the chiropractic profession needs. It needs men and women who are going to be wise, and so they can navigate the world that we're living in today. And so a couple of takeaways on this was, number one is we learn to choose our battles wisely. Like, we learn to choose our battles wisely. And I learned that from the CDC. It's so interesting walking with them and seeing what they're doing. There's certain things you do and there's certain things you choose not to do. And there's a reason why. And I love that. Like, there are battles you choose to go after. There's ones that you choose to not, because it's not the right time or things just don't add up. And just then the wisdom that's required to know where do we invest our resources, our limited resources of time, energy, focus, and money. And I see that happening for you as CEOs, that you're starting to really understand the 4 limited resources and how to invest and reinvest those in your people and yourself and in your business. And we saw that happening, with our live immersion events finally coming back, and just seeing the huge response that we saw even at the end of this year in North America. And going into 2022, it's going to be our biggest, year ever for all of you. The events, it's going to be incredible, the movement that's happening. And so just being wise with how you invest your resources. And then the second part, and Dr. Steve, I know you're going to, I think, get into this, which is the focusing where you have influence. That is so big, guys. And Dr. Steve, I'm gonna let you run with that. But the third one that I had with wisdom was taking better care of yourself. I think one of the things that happens as a CEO, the owner operator's mindset is just, head down, bum up, just go. Like, you're going to drag my dead body out of underneath the high-low, like Dr. Steven always says. Like, that's the mindset in many ways, but that's not really healthy. It's not a healthy mindset. It's not sustainable. It's not even realistic. It's not congruent. And I think, Dr. Steven, it's like this year, if these last couple of years have taught us anything, it's like physical health, folks. We've seen a lot of our brothers and sisters, walk through difficult things with their own family members, their families, themselves, health challenges. COVID is real. It's been a real thing. It's really threatened humanity in so many ways. But I think we've recognized the need not only for physical health, but mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, like the health of the family unit, the health of relationship health, all of that. Like, we have to take better care of ourselves. We have to do that. That takes wisdom to get to the point where you finally like, you know what? I need to be able to start saying no to certain things, yes to other things. I need to choose wisely how I'm going to use, my time, energy, and focus and money. I need to be healthier as a person. I think across the board, that's something that I've watched and I've seen happen, Dr. Steven, for our CEOs, as I get, chances to, be in the world with them and journey with them, and so many of you as well. So, Dr. Steven, those are some of my big thoughts there on that third takeaway from this passion.
No, I love it, man. And, I'll put a point on it, try to make this actionable for you, is like where we saw that wisdom lived out, and we real examples of it from 2021 is just the observations of our clients, right? So when we have eyes in on hundreds and hundreds of doctors and their practices, I mean, it was very, very clear that what you focus on grows, right? So for those that embrace that wisdom, right, and they understand that is the law of the jungle, people who focused where they had influence, their influence grew, and their practice and business expanded, right? So whereas those who got their focus drawn away from where they had influence and they were focusing on the things where they had no influence, their influence constricted, right? Contracted, and so did their businesses, right? So, without a doubt, that wisdom was reinforced. It was proven out, right? So I know more than ever, that is the pearl of wisdom that was reinforced for me coming out of 2021, was what you focus on grows. What we think about, we bring about. What we focus on, what we pour our time, energy, focus, and money into, that's an investment, right? So be highly selective, be really disciplined, right? So be very intentional about exactly where you choose to invest your mind share, right? Where are you investing your mind share this year? Like, as you go forward into 2022, this is a choice. It's every moment of every day. Slip and check yourself and ask yourself, what am I thinking about? What am I focused on? Right? So I have limited resources, time, energy, focus, and money. Spend your focus the way you spend your money or spend your time. What are you thinking about? So going into 2022, just want to encourage you that is a skill set that was sharpened. That was a bit of wisdom that was proven out and reinforced in 2021. Carry that into this next year. Let's make that your intention, is that you'll go into 2022 with the deliberate action step of always slipping and checking yourself, saying, what am I focused on? And asking yourself the question, do I have influence here or not? Because when I focus on things that I have no influence on, my influence contracts, and so will my business. Whereas if I pour my focus into things where I do have influence, my influence will expand, and so will my business.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.